Hello?
Hey.
Oh.
Sorry.
It doesn't make a noise. It doesn't make. Yeah, no, I wasn't. I was sorry. I was cleaning my brushes. Sorry.
Fine, I understand. Right, I got the stream up and running. I've redone the description for it.
Oh, cool. Well, I should be on then, hopefully.
Have you got our sound turned off?
Our sound?
Hmm.
No. I have now. Oh, did you think I was doing non-metallic? Well, I assume when whoever it was that asked, I assumed they meant true metallic. Oh, I need to turn my mic off as well.
Hello, everyone. It's Jim here once again, and I'm joined by Rich. And before we get into it and I get Rich talking, I've just got an apology to make. I've lied on the internet and told everyone that we might be getting some non-metallic, and Rich hasn't prepped for that at all. So today we will be just doing true metallic gold. Isn't that right, Rich?
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully.
So you've got your Christmas tree paper ready to go.
The wet palettes here.
Nothing on the palette yet?
No, it's completely bare. Nothing yet.
Tell us about the model. Tell us what you've done prep wise, and
so I haven't done too much to it, obviously, apart from build it. I filled a few gaps. This is I don't know the name. It's a Stormcast from Shadespire, the original core box, but I can't remember the name of the model.
No, it's been a while.
I played it when it first came out, but that's the last I've been with it, so I've got no idea.
She's like something shield or something like that.
there should be a shield there.
Yeah.
But I haven't actually put that on just because it's going to be in the way. I've then primed it with the Badger Primer Stylize or something like that. I don't know how you say it. It's a bit more matte than I would like for a gold. It actually looks quite satiny or even quite glossy in the camera, but I think that's my light. It is quite a matte primer, which for metallics I'd prefer something glossy or shiny, or at least a little bit satin. But
so would you use maybe like have you used the Mecha?
I haven't used it yet. It'd be something if I was gonna sort of start painting an army of metallics. It'd be something I'd certainly consider for sure.
You're not going to paint an army, though, are you?
No. I think the chances of me painting a what's the word? Painting an army is very, very slim. Very slim.
That's the same with me, though. To be fair, and I used to do it all the time. So it's hard to find the time and hard to hold yourself back from taking a model too far sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah. As much as today I was actually thinking alone about getting my World Eaters and Corn Demons back in the mix, but it's just the chance of me actually finishing a squad, let alone an army, is quite challenging, I think. So yeah, that's where we are with this lady now. I thought I'd talk about a little bit about the different kinds of golds we can get. So to actually paint her, I'm going to be using this from Scale 75, their metallic set. Generally, these are my go-to paints for doing gold. I don't get on so much with Scale 75's sort of normal paint, if you like, non-metallic paints. I struggle with the finish, and I tend to, I think with the way I like to move pigments around a lot on the model, I get a lot of texture. But I don't seem to suffer with that from the metallics. The reason I like their metallics more than some of the other brands that are out there really is just down to the colours. I think it saves me a bit of job mixing. I don't know if you can see, it probably isn't going to show up my camera. They have a lot more variation in the hue of the gold. It's not just like Vallejo and GW, their gold is quite plain. It's dark gold, medium gold, bright gold, and then maybe another bright gold. Whereas these, you've got here, there's a little bit of green in there, a little bit of purple.
We're just looking at the bottom of the pot. It looks like some of them are more like a bronze or a copper and things. I guess it's not necessarily going to come out quite like that.
No. I mean, when they separate on the palette, like if you leave metallics on the palette, they will separate, and then you can really see like they will almost look pure purple on top. This one does. No, sorry, this one. This one does. Now, that doesn't mean the other paints, if you don't have these or you can't get a hold of them because they're not the easiest ones to get a hold of, the other ones are perfectly fine. I just recommend you add a bit of colour to them to bring a bit of variation, a bit of interest to the model, rather than it just looking quite boring. The other option I thought I'd hit on, because these I like a lot for army painting because they're very good. They're a little bit more awkward to work with. These are alcohol-based paints. They're not acrylics. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you. I'm not going to spend an hour shaking, but I don't know if you can see.
I've heard a lot of people talk about it. I still haven't used it yet.
It is very, very good. I didn't get a model out to show you. It can look quite, overpowering on a scaled model because it's so shiny. It's hard to get that look across, but I find combining these with oil washes, and it gives a really, really nice finish very quickly. You don't need to. You do one layer of this and an oil wash, and it's almost spot on. For bigger things, maybe an edge highlight, but it's a bit more work to use. You have to be very careful with. You can't get water anywhere near it, like literally anywhere near it, or it can ruin the whole pot. You have to use alcohol to thin it, and alcohol to clean your brush.
That's a waste of alcohol, isn't it?
I'm talking, when I say alcohol, I don't mean thin it with whiskey. I mean
No, I know.
ISO. 19. You need to be as pure as you can. But if anybody wants to see more of this, give us a shout. I can either put some photos in the group of the chats.
Yeah, maybe we could just make a video, not do it live, just make a quick video.
Of how to use it, but also so you can see the results. It can come off, because I think a custody army or a Stormcast army in this would be quite quick, but it would look quite well. Yes, so this is the lady we're going to start with. We're going to paint. Sorry, going back.
I'm really annoyed I can't remember her name.
Someone should tell us. I'm sure someone will know.
Someone will put it in the chat.
Yes, if anyone knows, put it in the chat. I was going to say first, someone gets some points or something. I don't know, internet points. So with the scale 75, it's much like any other paint system. You've got a mid-tone, a shadow, a couple of highlights, and then this I will use for my edge highlight. It's a cream color, but it is metallic, which I really like. I'm not a fan of using silver.
Which one's that one? Is that the...
don't ask me to pronounce that, Jim. Alquima citrina.
Oh, is that the... Oh, no, that's the Spanish, isn't it?
Yes, sorry, I'm trying to read Spanish. Citrine alchemy. There we go.
That's the one, one. Yeah, you were talking to me about that the other day, weren't you?
Sorry, there we go. I like it a lot for you doing gold, especially if you're trying to achieve a warm gold, sorry. If you're trying to go for a bit of a colder gold, then silver can work. But for me, I find whenever I edge highlight something silver that's gold or bronze, I feel it comes across as if it's a plated gold and it's just been chipped off, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to start with this color first, I think. Yeah, the Viking gold as my mid-tone. I'll be using this as shadows, and then I'll be building up the highlights as normal. I also have some other couple of colors to be using. I have some purple, which I will probably add into the mid-tone. This is Hex Legion from Game Air. Just purple will help me desaturate that gold a little bit more, just so I can control the saturation rather than going straight out to a full saturated metallic. It will also take some of the metallic down. I don't want the shadows and the midtones to be as brightly reflective as the highlights, because obviously if you had a piece of metal where the light's shining off, it's going to shine more than the shadows do. I also have a bit of this, although I think I'm running out of this, so I might need to mix it with something, and there's not much in there. I'll probably use this for glazing over into the shadows once the base coating and the main metallic work is done, just to make sure I've got the contrast where I want it. So to start with all metallics, but with the scale 75 especially, it needs a really good shake. So excuse me if everything shakes while I do this, while I shake these.
As long as the camera doesn't flip, all right.
Yeah. We'll see. I tried it again. Before we started, I did give it a smack and see if it flipped, and it didn't. So I'm just using my normal Winsor & Newton brushes. I know some people don't like using hair brushes. They prefer to use synthetics for metallics. I've never had an issue, but I paint like 10 models a year. If I'm lucky, I finish. So perhaps if you were doing a full army or something with metallics, you might find the brush wears down quite quick. But I've never had a problem.
Cool.
Okay, so.
Yeah, so maybe if you're going to paint an entire Stormcast or Custodes army or something like that.
Maybe you'd consider, especially for base coating anyway. Okay, bear with me. I'm going to move the camera back a little bit. So
I got so frustrated that I had to Google it. It's Angorad Bright Shield. So it did have a shield.
It was shield. You're right. Yeah. So I'm just going to take. So I don't really do much differently with the metallic paint. I know some people don't like putting on wet palettes. They find it separates. It does separate quicker than a normal paint, but then I just
So would you say if you were going to be using your palette in like reusing it over a longer period, over like days or weeks, the metallics wouldn't be good, but they're fine for what you're doing now, sort of thing? Is that what you mean? So like it's going to separate?
Some people don't like the way it separates. I've never had an issue. I find if I come back to this 2 days later, yes, on top, it will look like a completely different color. One of them actually looks like almost like this. I'll keep talking.
Yeah, let's just keep talking for a minute and see what happens. Oh, there we go. It's caught up now, I think.
There we go. Move my hands.
Yep.
No, then I got it again. What's going on? There we go. Okay. So yeah, hopefully you saw it. All I've done is mixed a bit of purple into this gold. Sorry, I don't pay attention to ratios or anything, so I'm not 100% sure. I would guess that 70-30, but I could be way off. I'm going to use my number 2, and I'm just going to base coat. And so I'm not trying to be beautifully smooth. I'm not too fussed if I get it in the wrong places. Now, with metallics, you want to be a bit more careful because it can require a bit more, what's the word? A bit more to cover over them if you do get it somewhere you don't want. So it's a little bit thin just from water that was on my brush and from the wet palette itself. I try, just because I'm lazy and I'm slow enough as it is, to do everything in one coat. I don't necessarily feel it's necessary to do the 2 coats. That it's certainly very good advice for beginners, but if your brush strokes are smooth and you've got a good brush.
Is that because you're going to be doing a lot of work over it anyway? So you don't
Yeah,
necessarily...
I mean, especially with metallics, but generally I want something to be interesting with my model.
Yeah.
I just realised. Sorry, I just realised here that the what's the word? The trim on the shoulder pad doesn't go over. I assumed that was part of the trim, but it's not. Actually, should have been the shoulder pad. I assumed it was like a spacer.
Yeah, there's like an underplate, but the lift that goes up to the neck is whatever the blue or whatever colour you do it.
Trying not to be too quick.
You played a bit of Shadespire, haven't you?
Yeah, I did when it first started. I quite liked it, but I just couldn't. Again, I couldn't keep up with all the releases. And it's a bit too.
Definitely in the first year, it was very much like you needed to buy all the packs to get all the cards.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's quite as bad now.
But I think also it was a bit too tactical for me. I'm not the best. I want to just roll some dice and have fun and.
Yeah, we had quite a mixed group, didn't we? So we had really casual players, and then a couple of, probably 3 or 4 players that were pretty heavy on what they were doing. So, we've got Remix the Dragon. Hello.
Hello.
What were we talking about? Shadespire, yeah. So this is actually quite an old model, I guess, but I think it's still.
Oh, it's nice.
For a push fit model.
For push fit, yeah. There's a few gaps I missed filling because obviously with push fit it was difficult, and especially as they decided to put the gap all across the smoothest part of the model. There's a couple of gaps that's not filled perfectly, but we'll hide them with paint or varnish if I have to.
Just don't show that side of the model. That's, that's how all the pros do it.
Put my thumb over it.
It's interesting, when you first started painting it on, it didn't look gold.
Yeah.
But now you've covered most of the model, it's looking more and more,
Yeah.
It's the way the eyes trick you with all the black that's around it,
I think from looking at it, I would have liked to have put a little bit more purple in. It's a little bit too gold for me for the starting point, but that's not the end of the world. We can still work with it.
So will that mean it'll be a sort of brighter, lighter gold than you wanted at the end, or are you just...
No, the end result will still be the same. It just means I've got to
do different steps to get there, or more steps.
Yeah. And to be honest, it probably makes no difference, if I'm honest with you. It's just I would have liked it to... I'd like my first steps to have a bit more of an effect in terms of the contrast that I'll be seeing. This brush is on its last legs, I think. Yeah, I've ruined it a bit. I've not been very good. I'm not very good with cleaning my brushes. But again, this, because with the number 2, I only tend to use for base coating and
because of that, you don't
glazing
look
and
after
stuff.
it.
So
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's pretty much just for glazing or base coating. Just make sure I get down there because it's quite difficult. Make sure here I don't go over the bit that's I'm not supposed to. So there's a few bits. Yeah, I don't know if it's, you probably can't see it. It's not focusing very well today, is it? There's a few bits where the black's just shining through. It's not perfectly covered, but again, I'm not overly worried because I want that noise, the same as we were talking about when we were doing the silver. I want the little bit of noise, a little bit of what's the right word? Noise. That is, noise is the right word. You know, the unevenness of the surface. It's not fixing.
Yeah, I know
the variation in the surface. I don't want it to look like everything is just one single piece of metal.
Yeah.
See if I can get this focus to it better. That's a bit better. So that's the base coat done for now. I'm going to add the shadows. I like to add the shadows next. Generally, I always go base coat, and then shadows. And to do that, I'm going to use, where is it? There it is, Necro Gold. It's more or less exactly the same, it's just a little bit darker, funnily enough.
So looking at the bottle, it looks almost like an antique gold sort of look.
Yeah, it moves a bit more towards green. And it's not coming out. So this is the one thing I don't like about Scale 75 is like, I did these before the stream started. I did them all. But it
you need a pokey stick.
Yeah, they get blocked up very easily. Come on.
And then it goes everywhere.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
I've done that before.
I got annoyed before with them once and just squeezed the hell out of it and the whole thing popped off the cap rather than the nozzle.
Yeah.
Right, that'll be enough. I'll make sure it's enough. I'm going to add a bit of the burnt umber to it. I might even add a bit of black because I want with my first pass, I'm doing a sketch really of where I want the shadows to be, so I want to be able to see a good level of contrast straight away. Because otherwise I could spend a long time building up my shadows to they're dark enough and then realize, you know what, I'm not happy with the placement. I'd rather know straight away I'm happy with where it is. It's quite brown, but I'm happy enough. I think that's fine. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've got two choices here, and I'm not sure which way I want to do it. I've got the choice of starting at the left leg. I normally, or used to always start at the left leg. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. It's just the way I do it, and I quite like with the
kind of like writing. You go left to right, sort of thing.
Yeah, I quite like with the foot. It's really nicely defined. You've got a very nice sharp edges that I can start straight away defining and gauging if I'm on the right path in terms of my colours and the contrast and the saturation of the gold, etc., quite quickly, quite easily from how the foot looks. So it'd be a good starting point. But like we were discussing at some point, I can't remember who it was with, maybe on the Discord, about how we always want everything to go towards the face. We want to make sure the contrast is most of the face, the value, etc. I'm going to start with towards the chest, towards the face, just to make sure I'm really pushing that area first the most. So to start with, I want to find a place that's nice and easy. Again, like I was saying about the foot, where I can get a good idea of if I'm happy with how it's going. I'm going to start with this collar point. I don't know what the right word for this. I've forgotten what it's called. Is it gorget? Is it? Yeah. Because there's a nice tight angle. I don't know why my camera's not focusing today. Every time we have some kind of issue, there's a nice tight angle there that I can make one side dark, one side light, and really see.
You see a difference straight away. Yeah.
Rather than trying to work out on this, for example, this flat plane here, trying to work out is the contrast enough. Here I can see it straight away, very quickly, and be quite happy. So because it's metallic, it's not going to show up straight away, and it's not going to show up much on the camera. But basically the light source, no, I've done that the other way. So I was going to have the light source coming from this way. Again, I always like the light source coming from the right hand, and it's the way she's facing. So it's normally you want them facing towards the light, but because the shadows, the shield is here. In theory, it would leave a lot of this side of her body and some of her face, I think, in shadow. So, and with the way the hammer's posing, I'm going to actually have the light coming from this way. So I'm just going to put the shadow on this side instead, and I'm just going to.
So we're talking like in front, but to the left.
So the light's coming, from here, basically.
Yeah.
From her right, our left.
I'm
just going to go back to that mid-tone. Now you can, of course, just do this everywhere. Put the shadows down everywhere across the whole model, but I'm going to do it section by section because I want to make sure I'm feeling confident with the colors I'm using, the tones I'm achieving. So all I've done is a couple of layers, thinner layers than before with the base coat, towards the edge of the collar, the edge of the corner, of her collar. And I'm doing the same thing this time with the base coat, the pure paint without any purple into it. It's really going to be hard to see because this is quite a small transition. I'm going to add a tiny bit of purple to the shadow color, I want it to be fairly neutral, almost like a brown. And gold in theory is a kind of yellow color. Purple obviously is a yellow's complementary, so it will make a brown.
Can you get your camera zoomed in a bit more, or is you going to lose the quality if you do that?
I won't lose the quality, but I'll lose the focusing. Although it seems to be focusing fine now, so maybe we'll see if it focus goes off.
It's quite shiny. You're not really picking up what you're doing.
It's going to be very difficult with the shininess to actually get it to show up. But I think you can see the lighter bit I've put on this corner here. This corner of the gorget here, I've put that lighter part of it on, and it's only all the difference between this is this has got the base coat's got the purple in. This is just the pure color without the purple. Here it's less, especially when the light's on it. Obviously, it's more harder to see. But you can see here the transition I want to get, the level of contrast I want to get. That's the effect I'm trying to do, and that's what will make it really stand out because I can't just rely on the shadows that are formed by the metallics naturally, because it's completely wrong for the scale. We're not trying to paint a tiny model. We're trying to paint a full-size Stormcast that's been scaled down. So we need to emulate the way the light would reflect off a full-size model. Full. If it was full size, not scaled down, if that makes sense. Next, then I'm going to go up one more with this one. Sorry, this one. What's it called? Dwarf and Gold. Did that show up? Dwarf and Gold. And I'm just going to work on the collar to start with. Once I've decided because I haven't done gold for quite a while. Once I've decided I'm happy enough, I will actually progress across a larger area and a bit more. Sort of doing a few areas at once rather than doing this tiny area because it's obviously a bit boring and a bit of a waste of loading my brush and then changing the color straight away. Just going to bring a bit more purple. I really want the shadows to be. I'm thinking at this point I'm almost in like a non-metallic sort of frame of mind. I really want, especially on where you've got the transitions between two different angles, two different planes, I really want that. I don't want to say black versus white, but I really want a high level of contrast. Okay, so I'm fairly confident I'm on the right path, so I'm actually going to move on from that with the colors I'm using at the moment rather than keep switching backwards and forwards. This chest plate here, especially this plane, I'm just going to brighten it up completely because it's obviously facing, it's almost a vertical surface, so you want quite a lot of light in there. I'm just going to do a quick wet blend, moving towards the points. With this isn't going to be finished. I'm just doing a quick blend to make a transition. The one thing about the Scale 75 paints is they don't taste very nice.
That's disappointing.
It is smooth.
I'll actually put a lot of people off, you know.
It really is a disappointment. I think it's going to be very hard to show up on camera what's happening. Hopefully you'll see the change at the end, but it's going to be very. You're not going to see the difference as it's happening as much as you will when we're using the metallic, the non-metallic paints. So all I've done here is I've basically painted this four-sided shape. You know what it is, but you know what I mean. Essentially, I'm thinking of it as a four-sided shape, and I've painted each plane a different color depending on its orientation to the light. Here is going to be a very simple, similar thing to here, except it's less of a harsh join. It's more of a curve. So it'll just have a highlight in the middle and then the shadow working towards the edges. So I'm going to do this one slightly differently. I'm just going to put the highlight down first and then soften it out rather than build up slowly. And then the shadows on the further side. For these, sorry.
I was just thinking. So, with the complementary colours on the rest of the model, are you going down just the traditional Stormcast colour
I think
scheme?
so. I think I'll probably do blue for the shoulder pads and then maybe a reddish leather.
So, would those colours take into account what you're mixing in with your golds now, or
Not really, no. I want the gold to be the most thing, and then honestly, the gold is the biggest feature of these models. So the gold will be my focus, and then I'll make the rest work to it. If you see what I mean.
Yeah. See what it needs to make it go with it.
I don't want to try and dictate now how I'm going to treat the gold. I'd rather get it right and then work out what I do from there.
The traditional color scheme is the blue with the gold, and obviously the gold they use is normally quite a warm gold, isn't it? And then blue is not a warm color. Or I guess it can be, but you know what I mean.
Oh, every color has a warm and cold version, but blue generally is the standard cold color.
Yeah, like if you're trying to make something colder, you'd add blue to it, wouldn't you?
Yeah. So here is just going to be a line running down here where the light's hitting it. This again is not going to show much. It's just the base coat, so without the purple. And here's on the foot. It's exactly the same as what's happening on the collar. On this side of the angle, the light's hitting it. On the other side, it's going to be in shadow. I was just thinking to myself, I've worked my way down to the foot. I can now start painting it properly, as if I was going to go back to the way, what I was discussing at the beginning, how I was going to start at the top. I've worked my way to the foot to try and do what I was going to do, and said wasn't a good idea. But I am just going to put a little bit of shadow here just to see. I mean, I'm still at least two paints away from the final highlight. But if I can get it right now, it saves me a lot of work in the long run. So here's just a line. A cylinder is always just a straight line. This bit I'm going to leave fairly plain, but because it's going to be behind the shadow, the shield roy. But I'm just going to add this. You can actually see in the reflection where the line is, so that's where I want to put it. If that makes sense, you can see the reflection tell me where to put the highlights. Here, I don't quite know what's happening with this divot in the armor, but I'm just going to paint it as if it's part of the whole thing, and it's just going to be a straight line as well down here. The kneecaps are kind of a ball, so the highlight basically just needs to follow the form of the shape. So if it's a ball, it's a circle. If it's a cylinder, it's a straight line. The only ones that can be complex are sort of actual flat planes, where you put the highlight down. It can be quite tricky. I'm not going to go over and do the whole model just because I don't want to run out of time. but we'll do the front side of it at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
And then the head. So, as I said earlier, that I want all the attention and focus brought to the head, so I'm going to actually base coat this in the pure base coat, except for the eyes. I want the eyes to be quite dark. Are these actually... These aren't people inside, are they? Am I right in understanding that? They're kind of...
They are.
Are they? I thought they were
Yeah.
like golems or something like that.
They're like a fantasy. You know, like Space Marines are humans
Yeah.
that through puberty have been altered. These
Yeah.
are like heroes that before death they get pulled out of the realms that they live in, and then get magic blasted into them over a period of time until they become superhumans, basically.
Okay, so they are people. Okay.
Yeah, but they can, like, when they die, they're because of the way their souls are like tied to Sigmar, they never truly die. They sort of keep coming back. So their bodies maybe aren't like a true body, but
Yeah.
you know, there are physical beings wearing the armor. Yeah. I've not kept up with the lore as much as I did when it first came out, like because it's just so diverse now. But originally, it wasn't really known what was inside it.
I see.
You know.
So here I'm not on the foot. I don't know if you can see. It's not focusing. It's quite a harsh transition. So I've just taken a bit of an in-between mix between the highlight color and the base tone, and just painting over the edge just to soften it out. And now all I'm doing is I'm using that dwarfen gold, I think it was, or elven gold. I can't remember, whichever one. My first highlight color. I'm just going over where I put the base coat down, the pure base coat down. And it's just basically just going to be this pushing the highlights, so I'm happy. So I'm going to get the next color out. Hey, this one's pouring out. So you can see how they change in tone if my palette was in place. And that's the reason really why these tend to be my go-to. It just saves me a bit of work making it right. You know, adding colours and trying to get some interest into the... Put that in completely the wrong place. Some interest into the model, into the colours. So here I'm actually going over my old highlights in most of the places so far, just because I feel I didn't go thick enough. So it might mean I get a bit of a harsh transition in places, but I can just thin it out like I did on the foot. For some reason here I've got a separation. I'm tearing the paint. It's not taken very well there. Again, I'm not really trying yet to be nice and pretty and smooth with everything, or even accurate. I just want to make sure I'm in the right direction. My lights are more or less in the right place. I'll come back and refine sort of the edges and if I'm in the right place. Oh, sorry, and the shape and things like that to start with. But for now, I really want to just make sure I'm happy with the colours and with the placement of lights. As I sort of progress, I'll try and add a few more details here and there, and fill it out a little bit more accurate with each sort of step up the path.
Yeah, it's starting to become more visible now.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do next is I want to get some separation in the plates a bit more and start to define it. So I could do a wash. You know, if I was painting an army of these, I probably would do a wash. But I'm just going to do a pin wash with an ink. I'm going to move that there because you can see very clearly the join in the model, though I didn't fill it properly on the shoulder pad. Just looked up and happened to see that.
Yeah, that's the one of my big bugbears with these, actually. Is putting a seam down the middle. Like the original Stormcast Liberators and the push fit, they all had seams running right down the middle of it. It's just like so much work.
So all I'm going to do is just try and separate. It doesn't even need to be the actual where the plates separate. It's just anywhere where I want to really make it clear there's a change in the angle of the armor, or where there's a different section. Now I'm using black, which might not be the best choice. The best choice would not probably be a brown, or sort of warm chestnut brown, or burnt umber, but I just want to get a very quick feeling, because again, I don't want to spend ages and then think, yeah, I'm not happy, I've wasted tonight, I need to start again tomorrow with a new, going from a different direction. The brown, if I used a brown, it would help sort of enrich the gold and give it kind of a weathered look. But if I feel I want to do that more, I'll do that towards the end when I'm more further on down the process. So the good thing about the inks is that they work very similar to washes, or in this instance they do. They're filling the gap into the recesses very quickly, but also quite translucent. If they're not in the edge, in the recess. So if I don't get them as accurate as I could have done or should have done, it's not really going to matter because everything will shine through because it's translucent. It's only where it pulls that it really shows up. So here, it's not actually a separation, but it's something else is over that. It's something over the top, but that's still going to leave a small cast shadow. I can't remember. There's a name for it. I can't remember what the name is. Where a shadow's caused by two things touching. It's going to annoy me now. I'm going to have to look that up.
We could name it ourselves if you like.
Pretty sure it was done a fair few years ago.
Well, yeah, but we've got our own little version of it.
Go on then, you can give it the name.
It's called the Touchy Shadow.
There we go.
Okay. Call it. I think that's a good name.
But it is. We will use that from now.
Our viewers have gone now. Oh, maybe not.
It's rubbish there.
So if you're going to make a big mistake at this point, what would be the easiest way of fixing it?
What do you mean by a mistake, though? Like
if you slapped the paint all over the place.
Just quickly wipe it off. If you're too slow to do that, then you have to paint over
it. Yeah, if you've not noticed, you've just got to paint over it.
You have to paint over. There's no nice way to get rid. If your paint's dried on, it's dried on. But I would normally, if you know you've done it, you've got a good amount of time to put your brush in your pot and wipe it off quite quickly. It's not always the case, and then you just have to accept you've got to paint over it. So that's sort of the basics down now in terms of the base coat and the base tone to start building off on. And I am going to start at the foot, just because it's quite a clear point for me to work out where to go. And I'm going to go straight to what probably won't be my brightest highlight color. Sorry, I've gone on the camera. This, whatever one it was called, Citrine Alchemy. And I'll just put where I want my brightest highlights to go. So I'm using probably not my brightest. I probably will go a little bit brighter than that. I'll probably add a bit of white to the mix in my brightest points just to really push this contrast, and then I'll start sort of refining it down, if that makes sense. So I really like this paint because it doesn't come off as silver over the top. It just looks like a light shining off the gold. It helps if I do it so you can see.
Yeah, it does look like just a reflection.
And you
Yeah.
can see now, well, on there, you can really see the
Yeah,
difference.
yeah.
I mean, obviously, if you imagine I edge highlighted this side, it would really, really pop. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make sure right now, it's going to
It's
pop
like
when it's done.
enforcing what's there, sort of thing.
Yeah. So just edge highlighting here. When I'm doing metallics, I don't worry about being particularly neat with my edges because I want the edges to be a bit rough, a bit beaten up. Obviously, if you wanted your Stormcast to look absolutely perfect, like they've just come out of the forge, then you need to be a bit more careful. But I always feel that something that's metal, it's always going to be quite quick to mark, especially one that's being used in a battle. So this point here, I've put it down quite heavy because it's pointing directly up. It's a very sharp edge. It's going to catch loads of light. There's a what's the word? A rivet here. So actually, I'm going to take some of my where's my brown ink? Have I got it here? No, I haven't got my brown ink here. So I'm going to use my burnt umber paint. What I've got left here. It's mostly bubbles. And I'm just going to go over the rivet with a brown, and then I'll put a dot of the highlight on top of it, and it will just help sort of show
Define
it up.
it.
Yeah. It's an airbrush paint, but my brush has got a bit too much water on it anyway for the airbrush paint. While I've got it, I might as well just do. I mean, these are in the shadow anyway from the ink, so they're not really necessary to do.
It's a bit weird that you've got rivets there, actually. Like, thinking from an armor point of view, you wouldn't want your the whole leg to be connected. You'd want some of the plates to slide over each other
You'd have
without,
thought so, yeah.
At that point where
Maybe
you've got
it's a rivet to like a
pen,
little leather strap or something.
that could be a strap, I guess. Yeah, yeah.
No idea. Take it up with GW. Tell them they need to get their crap together.
Because obviously anything sticking out from a surface like armor, because the whole point of armor is deflects things away from, like in historically anyway, not necessarily modern armor. So if you've got rivets sticking out in random places like that, they're just more likely to catch, which could obviously end up causing more damage. But yeah. Anyway, it's probably not really that relevant.
Gives us something to talk about. So I don't know if people saw it there, but just here I put the edge highlight a little bit too thick, so I just wiped it off my finger. There's absolutely nothing wrong with, or it's not the end of the world if a little bit gets wrong or something. You just can wipe it off or wash it off with a brush quickly and do it again.
I think as well though, because like light doesn't behave the same on a metal as it does on a non-metal. Little mistakes actually kind of do make it look a bit more real, don't they?
Yeah, for sure.
Not just that it's scratched or something; it's just like the light's catching weird on it.
No, for sure. Where I never really built the highlight up on these rims, so it looks very, very out of place. Like if you look at here where I've edge highlighted on the foot, I kind of built those layers up anyway, so it doesn't jump out as much as up here where I didn't do anything. So I'm just going over it with a thin layer of the last highlight color just to kind of smooth it out a little bit. I will want some sort of, I will want it to pop later on, but I don't want it that much yet because it just looks a bit messy. I'm just going to work in the shadows on this side of the foot for now. And I'm just again bringing the shadows up to that point, the edge. I really want the shadows right next to the deepest shadows right next to the brightest highlight, and that's what really makes things look metallic or more metallic than a metallic paint. It's not dark enough. I'm not happy with it. I was gonna edge highlight the shadow side, but it wasn't dark enough. So I've added a bit of black ink, which isn't the best thing to do. It's just because I'm too lazy to get some black out. rather than. But the ink won't be the end of the world. It might not do enough because obviously it's translucent. It shows up quite dramatically on the camera, but so in real life it's quite faint.
Mm.
But I'm happier with it now. It's a place to work from anyway. So if I wanted to here, I could use the mid or the second highlight color rather than the first highlight color. You know, the brightest highlight color. But I think I just want to get the effect popping straight away.
Yeah, maybe on the other foot because that'll be like hidden by the shield a bit more.
Oh, that'd be, yeah.
Well, actually, I suppose it wouldn't be actually because the shield's not where the light's coming from. But yeah,
it still would be in shadow
Mm.
from the whole. You know, it's on the complete opposite side. So. And this bit here would have like bouncing light from the light. You know, be bouncing from all here, from here, from here, from here, from everywhere. Whereas it's only from the shadow, from the shield. Sorry. Okay, not really happy with it, but I'll keep going until I find the point where I am happy. So I'm just going to do a line here. Now this line is probably not going to stay here. I'm probably going to end up painting over it, but it will be. I don't know why I can't get paint to stick here on this section.
Is it just there to sort of guide you? What
I'm really thinking is afterwards I'll put the next, you know, the second highlight color down and put it over the top, and it will just shine through.
I see. Yeah,
that's really what I'm thinking. But again, I'm still kind of sketching. I'm trying to refine it as I go, but I'm still not what's the word 100% sure in the direction I want to go, or even I'm quite happy where the lights are, but I really want to push it a bit more. Let's move the camera forward, and then I'm painting in a position I'm a bit more comfortable with.
Okay. Don't flip it. I like that. You just push the model up higher then as well.
Well, yeah, because I was painting like this to try and stay in there.
Yeah, I know.
I was bent over, hunched over, you know. Okay. So I'm going to keep doing this, just because I'm not really sure still. I'm tempting at the moment. What I'm toying with in the moment is to push these highlights a bit extreme, and then give it an all-over wash. Which I don't actually do very often. You probably, this would be the first time I would think I'd probably done it on the stream. And the only reason I'm thinking to do it is that's going to help. Not only will it blend down all the, you know, where I've pushed it a bit too rough, I've pushed it a bit too much. It will help. What am I trying to say? It will help age the metal as well. Because it will have like the metal shine through the wash, and it will kind of
matte it down a touch, or
it will matte it a little bit, but it will also it will look like a basic. There's a layer of, I don't want to say dirt, but like a layer of, you know, just, it's not super polished metal.
No, well, I mean, you normally would have like a layer of grease on armor anyway to protect it and stop it.
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to emulate.
Although this is obviously like a magical material, so there's magical grease on it instead.
Exactly. If it's a magical material, I can make it however I want, so that's perfect.
They perhaps use unicorn tears or something like that.
Who's his main enemy? Who's Sigmar's main?
Oh, he's got so many.
Oh, okay. I was going to say it could be their tears, but
I guess originally it was Archaon and obviously the Chaos Gods and everything.
Okay.
But now I think Nagash has obviously been throwing his toys out the pram because of the whole Sigmar stealing souls thing, and you know, it's basically the Stormcast never truly dies, so Nagash doesn't, as the Lord of the Undead, doesn't get his ties. Yeah, so he gets very cross. Because the camera's too high up now.
I keep banging my head on the lights as well. I don't know if you hear it on the mic.
Is that what that is?
Could you keep hearing it? Did you hearing it? Yeah, I've moved it now, so it's fine. Just means I'm painting in the dark.
Is this like a hollow echo? Like a coconut?
Okay,
yeah,
so
it's starting to really pop on camera
yeah,
as well.
I'm
now.
a bit happy with how it looks now. Especially, I think moving the light away has actually helped it quite a lot. There's a few places where it is a bit rough, and it needs some blending. Blending with metallics, I do it. I don't know if I do it right or not, but I do it exactly the same as if I was doing normal paints. I normally feather it out, and then if I have to, I do some glazes. A loaded brush works perfectly as well here.
So would you still use, if you're doing loaded brush, would you still use white at the tip, or would
no,
you?
I'll use this color.
Like a bright. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you use metallic.
So I'll use the base color. As always with the loaded brush, you want the lower paint, the one that's loaded. Your brush is loaded with to be thinner than the main paint. So I just send it down, and I'm just gonna do it from here.
Oh, so you're doing a bit of it now.
Yeah, I thought as soon as we talked about it. It's just a wet blend. It really is just a wet blend. But you just put the first lot of paint down in one.
And it's kind of like how you put pressure on the brush as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So you just it's very hard to describe, but you can kind of feel how the paint's flowing.
You need to play it and figure out what it does, and then you can figure out how to use it, I guess.
Yeah, you need to control the paint that's on the back of the brush to flow at the right speed, I suppose, to blend with the paint that's on the tip of the brush as you're doing your strokes correctly. If you're not putting enough, if it's not flowing enough, you'll end up with a white streak, or the lighter streak before the other paint starts mixing in. If it mixes too much, you'll end up without a blend because you've just gone over it, if that makes sense. So I went a little bit over with a loaded brush because it is harder to be accurate. So I just want to, I'm not gone over the other way. I just want to tidy up the edge because it's annoying me. I can see it. So on this bit, I'm gonna try and push it a bit more, but I'm doing it by putting some of the second mid-tone first down, and then I'm just gonna, if I'm quick enough, I think I might not have been because I only put a thin layer on. I'm gonna try and wet blend these into the transition. Oh, that's okay. I'm happy enough. So at the moment, I'm kind of staying away with from the head, and that's only really because I got no idea how I'm going to tackle it yet. So I'm kind of finding my way on the body, and then once I've kind of got a good sort of plan of attack, I suppose, I can then attack the head. Because as always, the head needs to be my focal point. I've also got a couple of rivets there. They're quite already covered in shadow, so I think I can get away with maybe not that one. This one I definitely can just plop a bit on. It's way too big.
This is really good practice as well for when you have to paint Sigvold.
Who?
Who's that? Sigvold the Magnificent.
Oh, that's that guy you keep going on about.
Yeah. Just so you know, we make sure you get your golds right.
Surely a model like that would need to be non-metallic now.
You said it, not me. That's fine. Over 20 videos. That would be a nightmare, wouldn't it? Because you couldn't do it all in one. You'd have to be doing it in bits. And
I think we'd do it similar to how doing Eidolon, or however you say it, and just show a bit of it. This is how I would do it, and then do that over the rest of the model.
Just the rest. How are you getting on with the cloak? I guess you're still working your way through it, or
I've done not much, to tell you the truth, since the last video rather.
You've done it.
I've done a bit more just to make sure I was happy and with how it's looking.
That's looking nice. That is.
I think I'm happy enough with it. I think if it will focus. It's obviously the lines or whatever the right word is for the sort of painted on waves need to be smoothed out, but I like the feeling of motion that's in there. That's what I was going for.
And that kind of greeny color coming through as well
Yeah, I
really
need to
helps.
work on that. It doesn't quite. It's not working. It looks. I think it's nice enough and it draws the eye, but I want it to
Not
feel
quite where you
like
want.
light reflecting through it or shining through it. Sorry, not reflecting, but I'm thinking I might give up on trying to do that because I think if I do too much on that, I'm going to take away from the main
Yeah.
guy.
See, that was the big issue, wasn't it?
That's what my main concern is. So I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Have I been using number 2 to do this the whole time?
Oh, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I was finding it a bit difficult to be as accurate as I wanted to, but never mind. It's good practice. Now this feels tiny.
Yeah, it's like practicing how to put a screw in with a hammer or something like that.
Not really. It's more just. It's much bigger. It's it's a lot bigger. I mean, to be fair, it held. I don't know. It was quite nice. I didn't really have any trouble apart from a few edges. Here I'm just this bit. I'm gonna.
You'll notice it more as you kind of push it even more, I guess, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did struggle down here, to be fair. So this bit here is annoying me too much. I'm just painting over it again completely from the base tone. I don't know what it is that I'm struggling to get the paint to. There must be a bit of grease or oil or something on it, but I cannot get the paint to stick. So I'm sticking a fairly heavy layer on top. I'm just stippling it on. It might leave a bit of texture at the end, but and then once it's dry, I'll come back to it and let's come back down again, and hopefully it'll be sorted. Because I keep trying to blend it and put a bit of highlight in, and all I'm getting is smears and tears. So moving on down to this leg. I'm just putting. This is the same paint that's already there. I'm just wetting it, and I'm going to go in with this paint now, just to. And because I'm painting, I'm literally painting on top of wet paint. It will almost bleed together by itself. I won't really need to do too much to soften it out. So, any questions so far? Has anyone got any comments or anything I've done that's
we've just had a comment from Pete Cooper saying that it looks amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I think that was possibly at the cloak.
The cloak,
probably
maybe.
as well.
Probably looking at this.
Yeah. It was 2 minutes ago, so yeah, could be either.
Both.
Could be both.
Thank you. That's the right answer. What a diplomatic man right there.
Yeah, both. There we go.
It's the same thing here. I'm the circle. So again, following the shape of the volume I'm trying to highlight. I've put a bit of the mid highlight down, and then I'm just doing a little spot of the highlight, the main highlight.
So one thing that had come up quite a lot over the last year or so was people wanting us to do another painting tutorial day.
Yeah.
So if people do want or interested, it doesn't really matter what level you paint at, because we'll kind of, I guess, cover.
Yeah, we'll have something for everything, everyone.
Yeah. But if that's what people want to do, just get in touch, and next year sometime when we're allowed to look over your shoulder at stuff and things, we'll be able to get that going. We've only done one so far, and it went really well, but it was a lot of work.
Yeah. But if anyone, for sure, let us know.
There you go. Piled more work on Rich. Excellent.
I don't know. I was thinking whether we should go back to do the first one again, because it was a long time ago, and it's good for. There's a lot of people that's new.
We still got the stuff for it. So the first one we did was a
Space
Marine.
Imperial Fist.
Yeah, it was just the easy build intercessor guy that you used to get with the magazine. And we did an Imperial Fist lesson in a day. Basically, it was completely finished, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was good. Everyone did really well.
Yeah.
I think everyone was quite pleased with the results. I hope they were.
Yeah, I mean, I think we pushed everyone past what they were comfortable with, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But they all did a really good job. You know, I don't think there was anyone who kind of gave up or anything like that.
No,
You know,
no, definitely not.
I thought our pricing was pretty reasonable as well, but we won't go into that. Yeah.
So at this point, normally, what I'd probably want to start doing is actually putting the colours on the rest of the model, because the black's throwing me out a little bit. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go through it. But that's would probably be what I'd do next, just to try and sort of, what's what I'm trying to say? Yeah, the black's just throwing my eyes off a little bit in terms of how I'm happy with. Sorry, I'm just going to move the camera a little bit. When I look at the screen, it looks completely different from what I'm seeing because of the angle it's at. But that's better. Just got to get it to focus.
You'll end up with it in front of your face, and you won't be able to see the model.
I'm painting through my phone. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a time delay. That'd be fun.
Okay. So I'm just going to put a couple of, say, noise sort of marks in the brightest, sort of most exposed areas. It's just stippling on. I'm not really actually got any designs, or if that makes sense, not designs, but you know what I mean. I'm not trying to put any particular shapes or any. I'm just stippling, just jabbing, jab, 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 jab. Jabbing them on just to create a little bit of noise. You won't actually really be able to see it, but it's something your eyes will pick up, and it will draw the eye, even though you won't really know why. All these sort of layers just help to build up the model and make it look more interesting. Okay. Still trying to separate there.
It's not happy, is it?
I must have.
Maybe she's in a past life, you know, before one of her many reforgings. You know, she took a grievous wound to
That's
the
what
knee.
we're going to say. What I mean,
Yeah.
I probably will put a scratch there, just to. I mean, it's better now. It's a lot better than it was, but it's still there. So I probably will just even if you know, I'm not going to cover the whole. It shows up when I move the camera, right? The line. You know, I'm not going to cover the whole line because that would look ridiculous. But if I just do one over it, it kind of breaks it up, and so it's not going to be anywhere near as obvious. Here, the transition while I was spinning it around, I saw is a bit too harsh. So I'm just taking the first highlight color.
There we go. Aidan got it. She used to be an adventurer. There we go.
I don't get that.
I just hope that it's a Skyrim thing. Took an arrow to the knee. That's what I was. You know, it doesn't matter.
I didn't get it. Sorry. Well, I have played that as well.
I think people are going to be very disappointed with you for not getting that, Rich. I'm going to be honest. You need to do some research for next time.
Sorry.
It's like one of the most famous quotes on the internet.
Really? Just showing my age.
I used to be an adventurer before I took an arrow to the knee. It's like it's the thing.
Really? Who says that?
The internet. The whole of it.
So I nearly swore then.
You didn't nearly die.
I didn't quite finish it. I was like 95%.
You can paint the other two models from the box set now.
I already said I would.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Just like I said, I'd paint the Necron blades before Aidan says it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think now I'm going to start tackling the head because that's moving in the way. Yep. Just because it's everything else is moving in the right direction. I'm fairly happy with it for now. So it's going to be similar to how I did everything else, really, just building up the layers. With each layer, I'm trying to get a bit more accurate, a bit more refined.
So because of the shapes you've got there, obviously it's a lot of kind of like curves and domes and stuff. Would you do like a spotlight on that as well? Or?
I will be. There'll be a spotlight here and one here. Everything else. So basically, I'm breaking it down into it's simple volume. So you've got the ball, and then the jawbone is always sort of like it's not quite a triangle, it's not quite a cube, it's somewhere in between, like a prism. This is obviously just a cylinder that's very, very small and cut in half. So it's just about breaking down everything. Everything here is a very, very simple shape. Cylinder, triangle. This is a square. The hips are normally a squashed circle, and then you've got another cylinder, a circle, a cylinder, and then here's a prism. And they all, it's like very, you see, when you learn how to draw as a kid, you're taught to draw everything in squares and cylinders and everything first to get the perspective and the three-dimensional aspect before you start actually making the cylinder look like an arm or the ball look like a head. It's exactly the same now because everything reflects light. Light reflects off a certain shape, pretty much the same. Obviously, different materials can change it. So on metal, it will reflect a bit stronger than on like a wall, which will diffuse the light. But yeah, I just break it down to very, very simple shapes, and if you're not sure, you can Google it how the light reflects off it, or just have a look on your what objects you've got around the house. So if I've got a cylinder, I can see the light on my brush. I've got a line. Yeah, you see that here. Or look at a ball, or even as I was doing at the beginning of the model, when it's just primed, if you shine a bright light on it, you can see where the lights need to go. I've seen people suggest brushing them in oil if you're trying to do metallics. Well, I think it was actually for non-metallics, but it's exactly the same theory. Brush it with oil, take a picture of it when it's under the light, and you know exactly how your highlights are going to fall. But I wouldn't recommend the oil trick. I think it's unnecessary if you're using if you've got a primer under a strong light, you'll see it without the oil. Because then you've got to clean the model with oil, and if you've got oil left on your model, you'll end up with bits like I've got here that don't take paint very well. Okay, so on to the next highlight colour. I don't know why I've started using my thumb today more than it's probably because I got my tissue in the wrong place.
You haven't got a lot of Christmas trees left. That's what it is.
I am rationing it out to make sure it lasts through the season. Only 9 days to go. It's not long.
Have you got New Year's paper for after that, and then Easter paper,
and then Valentine's Day? No, I haven't got New Year's paper. I will get on it though.
Yeah.
I don't know, some fireworks or champagne glasses or something. I'll find, don't worry.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said that now because I'm under pressure now. I'm gonna put. I feel like I need to now.
Well, I was going to say, instead of using paintbrushes, you could use sparklers.
I'm not sure it would work that well.
No. Paint might dry out too quick or something. Yeah, I don't know.
It's quite interesting. The loaded brush is really, even though I use metallic paint, those bits aren't as metallic as the rest of the model. It's quite interesting. Don't quite know why.
Kind of matted it a bit, has it?
Yeah, even though both paints were metallic.
There's a story behind that. We need to find out what it is.
I don't know it. Okay, so I'm reasonably happy with the progress and how it's making, and how it's shaping up. I'm just gonna go and just tidy up some edges and have a look at some. I need to have a look at the shadows next. I think the shadows need to be. That was way too thick. I think the shadows need to be pushed a bit further. Here I've seem to have lost the highlight completely for some reason.
Just gone completely, has it?
Vanished. Okay. gonna build up some more layers on the head because it's, I don't know, I wasn't quite happy.
So have you got any, apart from stuff that you are going to be doing for the streams, have you got any exciting models that you want to work on over
The
few
all
months?
the Marvel Crisis Protocol, the Brotherhood of Mutants. I need to.
Cool.
They've been built and ready for priming on my desk for. Well, when did they come out? So
Maybe a month.
yeah.
No, it's about a month ago, I think.
I think a month. Yeah. So
yeah. You've been talking about Magneto a lot, haven't you?
I'm very keen to paint him. Yeah, I really need to get them done. I want them to be ready for lockdown, but that's when lockdown's finished, well, then we can start playing. But I don't think there's a chance of that happening.
Well, I told you that I was going to paint some models over lockdown.
No?
And I haven't. I don't think I've touched any of the Marvel stuff. I primed some Deepkin, though, after our video last week.
That's good.
Well, it wasn't because of that. It was Big Tim that comes in. He's starting an ogre army, and I said I'd paint my Deepkin to go with it.
Okay.
So I primed some, and I was going to paint some this afternoon, but instead I didn't.
I do like the Deepkin, to be fair.
Yeah, they got some nice shapes on them.
It'd be them or Witch Elves if I was going to do AOS, I reckon. Although the High Elf stuff looked nice as well.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people complain about their hats. I think that's what puts a lot of people off. But I don't know. It just kind of it's part of the aesthetic for me. I think I don't tend to be negative about models very often unless they look really bad.
Why can I not get the focus? There we go.
Do you think it's all the reflections tricking the camera?
I don't know. Don't know.
But yeah, so no, I haven't painted anything. I don't think I'll probably pick up a brush for the rest of the year, but I might do. But I'm not going to push myself to it because I think if I wanted to be painting, I'd be doing it. So
yeah, I don't know. I need to get those.
Unlike the rest of the people in our community, where it seems to be going mad in the painting chats
we've
got at the moment.
Everyone's
people are like, "Oh, just finished this army. I'm working on this now." It's nice to see so much going on.
Hayden, this is the first step. It's the first step, man. No, to be honest with it, for army painting, it's more than good enough. Like I'd leave it there. And I'm the reason I haven't put anything on it for a few minutes now is I'm actually working out what I want to do next. Because again, the black is throwing me a little bit. But I'm just going to, all the, I don't know what the right word is, like the gaps in the plates, like in his elbow and stuff. That's going to run into the, gold there. All these, I don't know what the right word is, these joints here. Whatever it is he's wearing underneath, like maybe it's just a shirt, who knows?
I think they're wearing, it'd be like
a tunic.
An arming coat. So it'd be like a maybe canvas or a heavy linen or something like that that's got mounting points attached to it.
Well, his is going to be black.
Medieval base. It's a she, but
Sorry, it's a she.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Richard.
There's giveaway points.
Are you assuming her gender, man? It could be.
Well, okay. I was.
I'm just going to paint these, whatever they're called, whatever it is underneath in these joints. I'm just going to paint them black just to help break up that armor, because obviously I did the pin wash around the edges of the joints and that, but these little bits sort of got left, and so it's helping. It's not covering very well. I didn't shake this black. Yeah, I'm going to do it. this isn't actually a joint, but I want it quite dark to really make it look like it's sitting. I want to try and really sell that it's a completely different plate, you know.
Yeah. Separate pieces.
Yeah. So I'm doing more or less the same thing I did with the ink. I'm just using a more opaque color. And there's no harm, you know, quite often with models I'll do the linings, the edges, not the edges, the linings, what am I trying to say? All the little joint gaps between the model, the pin wash. It's not really a pin wash, but
recess shade.
I'll do all of those a number of times during the course of the model because they're quite important for helping the definition of all the volumes and everything. And quite often they get painted over and you lose them while you're doing all the different layers. But they are quite important for separating everything. Although on camera that looks quite, especially over abs, it looks quite harsh. But in real life, it's not at all. I just actually add a bit of black to it, a bit of brown. Sorry. That's quite hard to see. Well, it's very hard for you guys to see because I'm off camera. So I had to see where the edge actually is because I've gone over the edge. Okay. So I'm gonna do a couple of. Well, I'm gonna blend that a bit more. Try and push this and see if I can get this better than how it looks at the moment. Jeez, that paint really doesn't want to stick there.
Just ignore it.
No, it's annoying me. And I don't I don't know. I've seen it before, but not like as stubborn as this.
Yeah, it's not resin. It shouldn't be doing that, really, should it?
That's what it's almost like. It's almost like I've, not washed the mold release off. So I'm going to try loaded brush just to get a transition there. That will stick because obviously I can put a thick layer on and hopefully it won't separate while I'm doing it. Okay.
So we'll let you do this off camera because it's bugging you a lot, isn't it?
Oh no, it's done. It was off. Did I do that off camera? Did I again?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. We could see your hand.
Okay. But I think that's smooth enough now that it's better, or it's hidden. Let's call it. So I'm gonna let it dry. I'll probably just do a scratch over it as well. So, I'll probably do a scratch in a couple of places first. So I just like to add bits of scratches to metal again because I feel something that's cloth, it might not show up if it's been scratched, but obviously with metal, even though it's a tougher surface, it doesn't have the flexibility and stuff to move out of the way if something hits it or rubs against it, rather, because obviously if it hits it, it would be a bit more so. Oh, it's not focused. All I've done is a very small line, and then I'm going to come across to my highlight color and do an even smaller line on the underside of it. Some people like to do the highlight color first and then try and do a small black line or dark line over the top. I just find it easier to do it the other way. It's actually not going to show up very much because a lot of the color on the chest plate is already this bright. So I will take some of my ivory. Oh, I could use a silver, except I didn't get any out. So, even though I know I said I didn't like to use silver, but by using...
You also told me you were prepared, but Oh, what a burn.
And you also said you were going to paint some models over lockdown.
I did.
You asked for that. I feel guilty now, but you did ask for that. So what I put down there, I showed it the other week, just some metal medium. on the palette. So it's literally just binder that you get in normal paints. It's basically this kind of paint. It's a metallic paint without the colours in it. So it's still got the silica flakes that give the reflection. And all that's going to enable me to do is to add it to some ivory and make a semi-metallic ivory. And I'm just going to use that to highlight this scratch, hopefully. I'm trying and failing to make that edge a little bit, like I'm not trying to do a perfect straight line. It doesn't hardly shows up. I'm trying to do like a little bit broken, a different thickness in places, just to make it look like it's a bit of a ragged scratch. I'm actually going to, where's my shadow? Glazing a bit of shadow underneath it, just to help reinforce the line.
Can't see it.
Okay. I'm going to do another one down here just because here it'll be a bit better because it's darker. So I'm kind of leaving little stipples of paint rather than a straight line, because obviously unless it was a very, very sharp object, it's not going to leave a perfectly straight cut in the metal. I've lost the focus again. And I don't really think I would do a huge amount more, especially for an army model.
Yeah, it's looking a lot deeper.
Head needs a bit of work. So I'm just I'm putting down my brightest highlights down quite roughly, because I really want to push the contrast, and then I'll bring them back down and blend them into the base tone, the base base colors. I just want the head to shine up more. There we go. And now I'm just around this sort of circle highlight. I'm just stippling to smooth it out and to create a bit of noise on the head. Autofocus is really not working today.
It is looking a lot brighter now, though. That face.
Yeah, it's a bit of a different tone from the chest plate, which I'm not overly happy with. I turned autofocus off and it focused straight away. Okay, let's see how that goes. It's quite a different tone.
So just imagine your phone going, "Oh, you wanted it off." Yeah.
This transition here is still a bit rough, so I'm going to do it the other way. The same thing, just stipple it, but this time using the what's the word? The underlying color. I might use that for the head. I'm going to probably use the ivory for the brightest colors.
So when you say ivory, that's with the
metal.
metal?
I mean,
Yeah,
you don't need to use that. You can just use ivory. It'll work just as well, especially for these little dots. Like, I'm not. It's not like I'm base coating it with ivory.
just picking a few points.
Yeah. So really, I did probably was a waste to do it, but. So I'm just furthering these points out. I put a fairly thick layer on and then clean my brush off and just go over the sort of the transition points of both pieces of paint I put down. I need to edge highlight it as well. So I'm going to push the shadows a little bit more. So I've just added some of the brown and the black into the original shadow color. I'm just feeling my contrast isn't quite where I want it in places. It's quite thin, you can see, and I'm just glazing it into where I feel I want the shadows to be deeper. I'm especially glazing over that. It will help sort of put it into the armor, if that makes sense, like not make it look like a painted line over the top.
Yeah.
By glazing over it, it just helps to sink it down and be a bit more believable that it's a cut in the armor, not a line you've painted over the top. Get the shadows in there a bit more. I'm happy with that now.
So you're at the stage now where you can just keep fiddling with it, can't you?
Yeah, I'm just kind of trying to, like here I've completely decided to change this arm and actually draw like a horizon line. So you basically to do that, and it really helps, especially on cylinders, to really sell. It's very good for non-metallic metal. It wasn't what I was planning to originally, but I've just decided it'll really help to sell that metal feeling. You put your brightest highlight on one line, and then right next to it your darkest shadow, and it just helps make it kind of, you can almost see it as reflecting like the skyline, and then the ground. It's a very quick way of making something look very reflective. You can see how it looks like it's almost polished now I've done that. You normally then need to think about adding secondary reflections of the ground that's close by reflecting, but I'm not going to worry about that for now. I'll do the same on this one, but a little bit less. Because it's obviously he's reflecting. He's not reflecting the horizon; he's reflecting his leg. Or sorry, she.
We'll just call it the Stormcast.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna, where I've put that, wash my brush properly. Obviously, if I'm doing metallics and then moving on to normal paint, you really want to make sure you wash your brushes properly and clean your water. I have got a model, I think it's Khan actually, that I didn't do that, and it's kind of ruined because it's, if you look at the paint, the normal paint, it's got bits where there's metallics, sort of metallic flakes in it, and it's really annoying if you spot it. It's funny how on the camera every bit looks a different tone. Like every bit looks a different color than each other.
Can you get a can you bring it a lot closer to the camera, or I'm just trying to think if you can get like a couple of small areas of it in shot, we can really see the difference. But was I just going to chuck the focus straight out if we do that? Do you think?
I mean, really, really close.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think you can see the colours a lot more. Oh, that's it's a bit too in shadow there, but
Which were
that's good. Yeah, yeah. So you can see there's a lot more colour there than it shows at a distance. Yeah, like mixtures of colours. I mean,
yeah. I just think all the
different on the breastplate, isn't it?
yeah. It's just with gold. I think not everyone. That's wrong. Very arrogant to say that, but I think a lot of people, especially at the beginning, you can fall into the trap of thinking the metallic does the work for you. You paint a metallic and it all of a sudden looks metallic. It's done. Do you know what I mean? You see it a lot. People paint just flat metal and maybe gives it a wash, but you got to remember with what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to achieve a model, as I said at the beginning, a model that's actually full size, but then been scaled down, not a small plastic toy. We need to imagine how the lights would be reacting off of a guy. I'm assuming these guys are bigger than a normal person. They look slightly bigger. I'm assuming their scale is similar to Space Marines. So
8 foot tall, something like that.
So someone in an 8 foot suit of armor, how much variation in the tones and the lights and shadows is there going to be on a gold or any kind of metallic surface? There's going to be an awful lot of variation. Whereas if you shrink it down and cover it in metal, there's, like you look here, there's really not that much. Whereas if that was full size, okay, obviously you've got the highlights here where the light's shining directly on it. But if it was full size, you'd have much more variation, much more depth, much more picking up at different colours and stuff. And that's what we're trying to emulate, and why you really need to pay attention with your metallics just as much as with normal golds. Sorry, normal paints. Non-metallic paints. Does anyone have any questions? Because I'm running out of things to talk about the gold.
Watch the chat go mental.
I can only see the YouTube chat.
That's all
I can see someone's put something on Discord, but I can't see it.
Let's see what we got. That's
something else, probably.
Yeah. Oh, they got So I just popped on Discord and realised I hadn't actually replied to someone, which is terrible. It's just very guilty. Oops. No, it looks good. I think with like most of the things that you've been showing us, they're the kind of things that like it takes a lot of soaking in to like all the information you're giving. So like they might not necessarily have a question now, but it might be something when they're actually trying to replicate or do something similar themselves. That's when they'll kind of question a bit more, I guess.
Yeah,
maybe, I don't know. I think that's how I do stuff anyway. I'd watch a video like this, go away, try it, and if I have problems, that's when I want to know more. So obviously, if that's the case, jump in the Discord, bang us emails, comment on this video. However you want to get in touch with us, do it.
Get in touch. We can definitely answer.
Oh, and obviously, if you want to see more stuff like this, just use please subscribe and like and all the rest. Oh, we do have a question. This is from Aidan. Would it be a similar technique?
Yeah.
Use metallic silver?
It would be exactly the same, except I'd be using blues, different shades of blues, to add to the paint. And
that would give you a very sort of cold silver, yeah?
Yeah. So you could add purples again. You can add any color really, like you want. And again, you're not doing it much. You're not looking to change the tone too much. You're just trying to add a bit of interest to it. But yeah, it would be exactly the same technique.
With Age of Sigmar as well, because you've got the Mortal Realms have quite diverse environments. So like the colours that you're in. So let's say you're in the Realm of Fire or the Realm of Shadow or whatever. Those colours will also influence what you're.
For sure. I mean,
colours, you know.
So in Abaddon, because I envisioned him being like on Istvan or something like that, and for some reason in my head that's always in a moonlight. It's always, there's no sun; it's always in the moon. So every single color on him has purple in it. And likewise, I never really did it. But if I'm thinking of doing something on a lava planet, like I was thinking with my World Eaters, then I'd be using a lot of orange in every color, not just the metallics, but every color. But obviously, metallics, they do reflect their environment a lot more. We might lose my camera feed because Google thinks I'm talking to it. Sorry, I don't know what I said there, but Google thought I was. Google, I need to remember to turn it off next time because it did the same thing last week. What's up?
No, it's just the camera went. But obviously, just in case anyone doesn't know, my visual feed is behind everyone else's. So I always have to catch up with what Rich is talking about. The way that because we're talking instantly to each other, but the stream there's a few seconds delay. So.
Yeah. But yeah, it's exactly the same sort of techniques. The way to blend metals is more or less the same. I tend to favour more wet blending and feathering than glazing. I don't like glazing metallics. I find it doesn't really work as well. But glazing over them with normal colours certainly works very well. I mean, if I was going to push this further, that's probably what I would be doing next. Is start adding in some richer tones, maybe in the mid-tones. And with silver, I'd be using white rather than the ivory, so it would be very, very similar.
Yeah, excellent. Well, I think that's it.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone else has jumped in with another question, but yeah, I mean, essentially, they're all the theory behind it can be applied to anything. Essentially, is the answer to that. So yeah, if you wanted to do like bronzes, coppers, any of the metallic colors, yeah, excellent. Well, that's probably it for the stream then, I reckon.
Yeah.
What do you think, Rick?
Yeah.
Anything else you want to show us, or are you happy with that? Do you want to get your sea cloak back on the screen once more, just so that everyone can get another look at it? Because I think that was looking just delightful. I was loving it. No, he doesn't.
I've done it.
Oh, see, that's how far behind I am. I still can't see it. Like 58 seconds.
So hopefully, the next stream we do, which will be in the new year. Oh, I need to remember to clear that bit. I'll have the cloak done.
Yeah.
And we'll start actually working on the guy.
Have you got to do all the inside of it as well?
Yeah. So I haven't even finished this full side yet. I think I'm reasonably happy with it.
I really like it. Yeah.
I want to.
I know obviously things always look slightly different on camera. They might lose some of the. It might actually look like it's blended differently to how it does to you.
The blending looks. To be fair, the colours are slightly different. This blue up here is all the colours are a lot more saturated than they actually are in real life. It's not that saturated, but blending wise, I mean, because it was done through the airbrush, so it's not that big a deal. The only thing that really shows up, and it shows up in real life as well, is these sort of false waves I've tried to paint on. I haven't really glazed over them or anything yet. These ones I've glazed over a bit, and I've added a little bit lighter colours here to try and help with the feeling of the movement in glazes, so it's kind of all softened down and blended together. This looks almost like a lightning strike because I haven't, it hasn't been smoothed down yet or anything, or somewhat hidden.
Maybe a bit too much energy there.
Yeah, yeah. These all they're supposed to be sort of movement happening just under the surface of the water. So, but I haven't finished. The first thing I'm doing is doing these lines everywhere, then glazing them over, and then go back to the actual sculpted on waves.
Cool. So if you manage to get all that done over the next 2-3 weeks,
I would hope so. I would hope I can. It doesn't take too long.
The next step, which is the guy himself.
Yeah, the next guy.
The Aiden from Athlan.
Yes, I was thinking to do him true metallic, but I'm beginning to change my mind. I'm thinking to do non-metallic and maybe like a greenish non-metallic. But we'll see. I might probably change my mind by then.
Super. Well, I think that's it for live streaming for this year.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rich. It's been really,
No worries. Thank you
really
guys for joining.
And yeah, it's going to be nice seeing how everything progresses with that as well.
Yeah.
So that
sure.
will either be first or second week of January. We'll see how life goes over the next few weeks, and then make a decision. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you in the new year.
Yeah. Have a good Christmas, everyone.
Yeah. Take care.
Yeah. I'll see you.